Okay, now we're ready for conversations with Deborah, a bi-coastal dialogue, because I don't see how Deborah and I, disagree so much, but yet agree. It's
We do.
amazing.
But welcome, Malcolm. It is Tuesday, November the 17th. We still don't have an official election here in terms of the president. But life goes on. Life goes on.
Okay, well, I don't know. As far as I know, we have a president-elect.
Not yet, because it's not official, not yet. So you said, had I heard the news? So I've been pretty well going back to my life, doing normal things with my family and with my neighbors and all of that. And I've been pretty much away from the phones and pretty much away from the news. One that I did catch was Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo, but I'll hold that thought. What's the news that you've heard?
Oh, the news this morning is that Trump has announced, or the Pentagon is announcing, that they're going to withdraw 2,000 men from Afghanistan by, I think January 21st. Originally, from what they say, is he wanted to withdraw all the troops from there, but the Pentagon.
He listened to the military people. The military people.
Well, the military people didn't want him to withdraw, from what I understand. Didn't want him to withdraw anything because basically they said that originally the thing was the U.S. would withdraw the troops if they had an agreement with the Taliban. And it had to be like one did one thing and then the Taliban did one thing, then they could withdraw it. But the Taliban didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So originally,
does that surprise you, Malcolm?
No, I have. It doesn't surprise me anything. What surprises me that a president who's on his way out in the next 60 days withdraws 2,000 troops, leaving 2,500 troops vulnerable.
Malcolm, it's a minimal number of people. He probably wants to bring them home at this point right now. He doesn't want to have extraneous wars the way, unfortunately.
But I don't know. He's closing the door on. On his presidency, and now he is withdrawing troops. And the other thing they were talking about is originally he wanted to see what we could do with Iran and maybe do a surgical strike on their nuclear facilities.
But did he? No.
No, because he was talked out of it.
Once again, I must admit, I don't really trust the news media at this point to really report anything of any import. I mean, for example, they're not even giving him any credit for the Operation Warp Speed, in which we were able to get potential COVID-19 vaccines, one from Pfizer, one from Moderna, where the normal FDA approval process would take 4 years. This was done in less than a year. They're not even mentioning the fact that Trump got rid of all of the regulations and said, folks, you need to produce this like a business. So do your COVID vaccine testing and what have you. At the same time, we'll get the production ramped up because we know you're going to have something to provide to Americans. And then for heaven's sakes, the New York governor says, we don't want it because it's Trump's virus. No, it's not Trump's virus. It's Pfizer's virus and it's Moderna's virus, and they have to go through FDA approval. For heaven's sake.
Two things. Number one, Trump has claimed, he said, according to, and I heard him say it, he said, well, I hope they give me credit for this. Well, I hope the media gives me credit for this. And number two, I don't know if they say we're not going to do all the testing and we're not going to do, they did it fast, yes. But if they say, we're not going to do all the testing, I'm not sure if I want to take a virus that hasn't been tested.
Well, I hope that we feel as though we can trust some of our governmental agencies. I'm hoping that the FDA has not been invaded by crazy people, as unfortunately the FBI has been invaded. And a number of the State Department has been invaded by crazy people. I trust the FDA. And if the FDA says that there is efficacy here, that it in fact works, I'm willing to take the vaccine.
Well, okay. If the FDA and the
CDC, well,
CDC,
FDA would be the clearing.
Yeah, they would do it. But the
Yeah,
problem is he has political side, what's the word? Politicized
politicized.
those agencies so much, in the last year by
They
appointing
hate
his own
Trump.
people.
Everybody hates Trump. Everybody hates Trump. There's there's
Rightly,
no way the FDA is going to
rightly
give,
so.
they're not going to give the seal of approval on something that is going to be killing Americans.
Okay.
It's just not going to happen.
Well, we will find out. I'm hoping that you're right. I'm
I know
hoping
I'm right.
because I want to go back. I want to go.
Malcolm, have I ever stretched the truth in any of the relationships, any of the conversations I have never stretched the truth.
No,
I am a new reporter through and through,
granted,
and I don't know the truth.
but you sometimes take the other side of the picture.
Well,
sometimes
you have to at some times when you look at where the facts are leading you, you sometimes have to go ahead and talk about those facts because in fact, they are not being presented as information. It really does concern me that, for example, when there were 750,000, not a million, but 750,000 Trump supporters who marched peacefully in Washington, D.C., that the bulk of the mass media did not show the violence that was then perpetrated by Antifa and Black Lives Matter. There's no place for that. You could see the video.
Wait a minute. How many
people being beaten?
I've heard that you say 750,000 people.
The revised number shows apparently, according to the police, there 750,000.
I haven't heard that number. I have to see because the last I heard about maybe 30, 40,000 people.
Whatever the number is, it doesn't
make it's not whatever the number. It's 750,000 people is a lot stronger than 50,000 people or 30, which is a lot.
No. I'm only taking the information, the estimate the Washington, D.C. police did, and that's generally when you have crowds, they do an estimate. But my point is, there was no coverage of any type of the violence that was perpetrated against people who were peacefully demonstrating.
I listened to the enemy of Trump, and they had that. They didn't say who did it, but they said there was violence. There was, I think, merely 20 were arrested. They didn't say there was fires. They didn't say there was looting. They said there was fighting between them, and it could have been
children were being basically at this. There was a family shown with children, and there was a crazy crowd of people behind these poor folks that were trying. The children were obviously terrified about it.
Well, it's two things. Number one, if I had a child, I don't think I would take them to be in the evening in Washington, D.C. for a march when I know there's going to be some confrontation.
It wasn't in the evening. It was during the day.
Okay, during the day, they said, as far as the news I heard, the violence or the confrontations happened in the evening, which always happens at that time when the sun goes down. But there are people that I agree with you if they were pounced on. Well, first, Antifa, that wasn't recognized as a terrorist group. Neither was the Black Lives Matters. The ones that the FBI, now if you think Christopher Wray is anti-Trump, though he was appointed by Trump, he says the ones that we have to worry about, the terrorists that we have to worry about are white nationalists.
Well,
that's what Ray said.
I understand that, but were the white nationalists out there beating Trump supporters?
I don't know. Nationalists
out there torching court buildings in Portland?
Yeah, we're not talking about
the white. No. Were the white nationalists in the Chaz segregation up in Seattle? I don't think so. You've got bigger problems than white nationalists.
No, but they also.
You have Jerry Nadler saying that Antifa is just an idea. It's just an idea. Just the way Obama said that ISIS is JV, the JV team. ISIS was not the JV team. They were the real thing. And they killed
we're going
Antifa doing the same thing.
Okay, now I forget my train of thought. But the question is, for the amount of people that they had in Washington, it was fairly peaceful. There was no major injuries, no burning down buildings.
Oh, no, I know. They were all Trump supporters.
No, you just said they're in, the left wing was there also. They were the ones that causing the
The
riots.
left wing was surrounding the Trump, and as the Trump rally ended, that's when they, like a pack of wolves, went after Trump supporters.
Okay.
That's,
Trump supporters are this nice, peaceful group. The only ones, the white supremacists that have their, they come in with their fatigue outfits, with AK-15s, with sidearms.
So who attacked the Trump supporters?
It was probably people that got on both sides lost their temper. Both sides are very passionate. You guys are passionate. The left wing is passionate. There was fighting.
It's not you guys. I'm independent.
Okay.
But at this point right now, what I saw was people that were Trump supporters being pursued by Antifa and BLM, and people were being attacked.
Okay.
People were cold cocked, their cell phones were taken, they were beaten, they were kicked. I mean, my question is, where the heck were the police?
I haven't seen those things, and I've watched both, but I watched both the right and the left. But actually, I don't know what's right anymore, because Fox is becoming I don't know, say persona non grata for Trump. He's deserting them because he still wants Roger Ailes to run that. But anyway, what do you think about what the Dr. Atlas said about Michigan when the governor said that she wants everyone to wear your mask? And Dr. Atlas, who is part of the Trump's contingent for the control, the COVID control, he said, "Don't pay attention." I forget what his words are. It's rise up against wearing your mask.
Well, I would say that my husband and I are both wear our masks.
No, I know.
Wearing your masks is the sane thing to do, and
Right.
we do it on a regular basis. We have N95 masks because we used to have a handyman business and we needed N95 masks. So we wear those out there.
I know that, but
whatever Scott Atlas had to say, it is his opinion, and that's perfectly fine. I just don't think that if Scott Atlas said to anyone, okay, folks, jump off a cliff, that people would be jumping off.
I know, but he's part of the Trump Advisory Committee. He's not you, he's not me. He's somebody that supposedly has authority. People look up to him.
It's called
and he says,
freedom.
Rise up against this.
It's called freedom.
Personal freedom. I think at
this point we need personal freedom.
I think personal freedom. I don't know why the gun laws at all. Why are the gun laws? Personal freedom. I should be able to bear arms.
I think you should be too.
Right, in the city or wherever. So why are cities and states against it? Oh, years ago, there was there's not Alvin Ailey. There was a theater group that I saw at BAM, the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and it was I'll think of the name, but it was called Paradise Now.
Yeah.
They were very avant-garde, and they were trying to break the fourth wall of theater, and this was back probably in the early 70s.
Okay.
And it was a group of at that point they were hippies. It opened up, and they were on stage, just sitting cross-legged, talking to each other.
Yeah.
Then, after 10 minutes after the opening, someone from the audience shouted, "Yeah, you're doing theaters when it doesn't open time. You stamp your feet or you clap." And then people started shouting, "Where's the show? Let's start the show." Then one of the people from the group got up, talked to the audience, says, "You're the show. What do you mean we're the show? You're the show. We want to see what you do." Then individually, people got up, and the group got up, and one by one they says, "We can't travel out of the country without a passport." And then they shouted that. We can't, and they were talking about all the freedoms that they can't do that's prohibitive. I can't smoke weed. I can't drive without a license. Then one of the girls come up and says, I can't walk around without clothes. And then all of a sudden the group says, fuck it. And they all started stripping the clothes. They were all like, naked on the stage. It probably like about 20, maybe 20, 15, 20 performers. Then they go and
That must have been a scene.
no, then
People don't look that good naked.
but then they looked at the audience and say, why are you sitting there like that? Why aren't you joining us? And the group came out into the audience. They were walking across the seat saying, join us, join us. And Julian, the name of the group is Julian Beck.
Yeah.
Theater. Then people from the audience were getting up and taking off their clothes. At that point, I was a teenager and I was a bit too uptight. I don't know whether I would do it today. But anyway, that's personal freedom. There are all sorts of personal freedoms that we don't have.
Well, the thing that concerns me is that I believe at this point right now, the COVID situation was confounding in January and in February. We did not know what we were dealing with. We know a lot more of what we're dealing with at this point. This particular virus, it appears to be anywhere from 90 to 97% survivable. And if, for example, someone who was in the susceptible group, and I'm talking about Trump being 74, managed to have the treatment and was in and out of the hospital within a 3 to 4 day period of time, I feel there is some hope that in fact that we may be doing a little bit of an overkill situation with COVID. Now, once again, I'm not willing to take a chance when I go out. That's why my husband and I wear masks, and we wear masks not only to protect ourselves, but also as just a feeling of comfort for other people who are surrounding us. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem.
Do you resent the people that don't?
But I do have a problem with this continuous lockdown situation, where I do believe that there's been an overstep. When you have the California governor, Mr. Newsom, going off and saying, well, you can't have any more than 10 people. You have to have, if you're at a restaurant, you have to put the mask on in between bites. And then he goes off to the French bistro restaurant. I don't really know which one it is. And he has a huge birthday gathering for someone. And then he's caught and simply apologizes. Once again, there was no shame. There used to be shame with some of the politicians, but there was no shame. It was just, sorry, that's just the way it goes.
Well, they're all taking after the president. He has no shame. But anyway, so do you think that there should be some sort of, I mean, right now you're right. We don't, we know a lot more, but what we know is that it's highly contagious. I mean, it's, I think, I forget how many, 11 million people have it. And I know 100 and, I even forgot 160,000 people are died. So there are a lot, 160,000 is a lot of people that are dead. And they say the rate it's going now is going to be over 200,000. So it's not a hoax. Like we were first told.
I'm not saying it's a hoax.
And it's not going away, but we need some sort of, all the governors, where a lot of the governors are saying we're looking for direction from the federal government, and we're not getting it.
But the federal government said exactly what it would do. They don't have the power to impose a national mask mandate.
No, they
said that we would provide all the PPE equipment that you needed. They were willing to go ahead, and once the COVID from Pfizer and from Moderna gets the approval from FDA, they're planning on making sure that that is free of charge to any and all states, except of course New York, because New York doesn't trust Trump and blah, blah.
It should be New York and California. We should be hit also.
Yeah. But at any rate, I just think that we're getting a little overdone here in terms of we're getting no information from the news media. We're getting very little facts from our politicians. I'm just stunned at Joe Biden coming on and doing a press conference and being asked these milk dud questions, which mean absolutely nothing. We need to know what his policy is going to be.
Well, we know what he laid out his financial policy, but actually what you said just a minute ago, which I want to talk about. Where are our politicians? I'm not talking about left wing, right wing. I'm talking about the entire Congress, Republicans and Democrats. What are they doing? They're sitting on all this. They're sitting on the money. I mean, it's both Pelosi's blame and McConnell's blame and the president's blame, and it's everybody. They're sitting on the money. There are people there. There are thousands of businesses that are going out of business.
Yep.
All these businesses,
And you know, and you know why we cannot pass Pelosi's bill, because Pelosi's bill awards money to non-citizens. Pelosi's bill awards
why can't they?
States and cities
Why?
To states and cities who have pension problems. It has nothing to do with COVID.
Why can't we come up with a compromise? What?
I know that President Trump came up, he went up to $1.8 million. She's still at
Yeah,
2.2.
but that is not necessarily compromise that he went up. So Pelosi went down. There's still.
No, she didn't go down by that far.
Well, he didn't go up by that much.
But you can't keep giving money away to non-citizens. Why are we not taking care of people?
Okay, so why don't you say non-citizens? Why don't you put that in? Why don't we get Trump came in here. He says his book was The Art of the Deal. He has not participated in the talks. He has not called up any of the Congress people up to the White House, to the Oval Office to say, okay, let's sit down. Let's do a fucking deal. People are starving.
In fact, you realize that President Trump, get the facts straight. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to correct you on this, because President Trump even said to the Republicans, I want more money going out to Americans. $1.8 billion is not, $1 trillion is not enough money.
Right. So fact, yeah, but he's the one of the art of the deal. Why hasn't he twisted arms?
Money. He is asked for more money to go out.
Yeah, but have they listened to him? I mean, he is supposedly, this is where, you want a strong president, someone that's, as I say, he gets both sides.
You can't accuse Trump of not being a strong president. President.
You get a few people, you get the people, well, again, I'm not blaming Trump. It's everybody. They're all people, especially now that at the beginning of the year, the beginning of next year, they're going to be running out of the unemployment. The federal unemployment is running out. The student loan things. I mean, right now I know I have a student loan from my son, and they're not charging any interest rate. They're not, you can delay it. That's going back into effect in January. You throw people out of houses at the beginning of January, and no one is doing anything about it. Both of them. It's a pox on both of their houses.
So what do we end up doing?
I don't know. You send in for both sides. Don't put the blame on. The blame is both sides, Republicans and the Democrats, because both. I think that's why people originally like Trump, because he's not a politician. But he hasn't been. I know. That's why they voted for him. He's going to clean the swamp, drain the swamp. But all he's done is make the swamp denser.
I don't agree with that. Prior to China unleashing the COVID, we had outstanding unemployment figures that were down to a 50-year low. We had money going to the pockets of all kinds of minorities. Black unemployment was down. Hispanic unemployment was down. We had some real solid accomplishments, which unfortunately we had not seen in quite a number of years, including Bush, Obama, the whole group.
I see that.
But at least we saw something out of Trump. When we first voted for him in 2016, we didn't know. We only voted for him because he was a businessman. And in fact, we ended up getting something solid that helped America.
Well, I don't think it helped America. I think it helped destroy America. I think what he has done, he's alienated all our allies, and he's taken up with all the dictators.
No, actually, he's alienated the allies who weren't paying. So in other words, it was kind of like you having a renter in your house, renting a room, that decided, I don't want to pay rent.
Yeah, but
guess what? When you have American soldiers over in Germany and various other countries, you need to be paying rent, and they were not paying rent.
But it wasn't costing us any extra money.
Of
I mean,
course it was
no,
costing us extra money.
we didn't chip in if they were only paying like, I forget what it was 2% or
They
3%.
need to pay their fair share. That's bottom line. And people got upset with that. The foreigners got upset with that. But guess what? There were a lot of people who said, thank you very much. The head of NATO said, thank you very much, President Trump. Nobody had the gall to be able to call them on this and say, hey, pay up. This is crazy. You know,
Who has he befriended in the various countries? He's befriended his love of his life, Kim Jong Un.
stop it.
He has not said
Stop
to
it.
this day. He said against
Stop
Russia.
it.
He's not said a word against Putin. If you notice,
Stop
he's
it.
never said anything
You know,
negative
he
against
has the
Putin.
highest number of sanctions of any president.
Yugoslavia or Aragon. He's friends with him. Not Yugoslavia. The Turkey, yeah, Turkey,
Yeah.
and well, I don't think he's befriended the guy from the Philippines. I'm not sure, but because the Philippines, that's what he wants. With all the drug addicts, what he did is the deal is he shot them. No trial, no anything. He killed them.
Yep.
So these are the people that our former president.
Well, one of the things
But
I am concerned about the revelations that came out in terms of Dominion voting equipment, that in each one of these key states, once again, each one of these key states bought the Dominion voting system, and they have the Smartmatic software, which has now at this point been traced back to foreign countries and to, of all places, back to ownership in, of all places, Venezuela. Appears as though the Department of Justice, which has been very quiet the last couple of days, apparently have now started, they have seized a number of computers in, of all places, Europe. Now, I ask you, how in the world is it that American votes are being counted in Europe? I just find that very interesting. So once again, I mean, it'll be a matter of probably going up to the Supreme Court and also listening to what the whistleblowers are saying, because we need to listen to these people. These people understand that apparently in many areas that the voting machines were actually connected to the internet. You're not supposed to be doing that. If it's connected to the internet, there is an opportunity to put a patch. And in fact, that patch could be put in to change votes. In Michigan, they've already overturned a Democratic winner because the votes were changed from Republican to Democrat. They've overturned that. Apparently, it's also now happened in Clark County in Nevada. Same situation where a representative, a Democrat, won, supposedly. They did some investigation, and in fact, now a Republican is now the deemed winner.
Well,
This stuff concerns me.
well, two things I'm concerned about, or not concerned about, but number one, I don't think right now any of the courts have accepted his lawsuits. I think there might be one for 500 votes in Pennsylvania. I'm not sure, but most of the legal team, in Pennsylvania, I think it was yesterday, have quit. The Trump legal team. Now, the one who's heading the whole thing right now is Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani, I used to like, who sort of, I think with old age, something happened to his mind. But the question is, none of the lawsuits have been accepted by the courts. All of the things that he has claimed, including what you were just talking about, they had known about those problems before, and supposedly the problems were remedied. Now, there was a thing that one of the people said. They said, "Oh, how come in Pennsylvania it took them so long to count the absentee votes?" Very simple. They couldn't count them before election day. All the other states, like this, Florida, came up with the results rapidly. They were able to count the absentee votes when they came in. They weren't allowed to publish them, but they were able. They were able to count them.
They illegally, the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania illegally extended the deadline 3 days.
3 days, but there weren't that. But there weren't that many.
It's only allowed by the state legislature to do that.
Right.
So there's a question over 693,000 votes that are now being challenged. And as far as courts not accepting these lawsuits, that's fine by me, because what it simply means is it goes up the food chain, it goes up to the Court of Appeals, and then
No,
it
no,
goes
no, no,
to the
no, well, yeah.
Supreme Court.
No, I don't think it goes up to Court of Appeals if they turn down the suit. The suit,
Well,
the
they
way the
can
system
appeal it.
works is you do it in the
They can
federal
appeal it.
court, and if you lose the decision, you go to the appellate division. And if the appellate
Right.
division does something that they don't agree with, then you can go to the Supreme Court. But if it doesn't get to the system at all, which it hasn't, none of the courts have said, "Oh yeah, that's a valid case. We'll adjudicate on it." And the thing is, a lot of
They don't
the
need to do that. They can appeal it and it continues to go up, which in fact it will.
well, and a lot of the federal judges are all Trump appointees. I mean,
Well, they're going to go. They're going to go on the basis of the Constitution, my dear. I don't care whether they're Trump appointees or Obama.
Yeah, no, but you would think it's an point. Well, of course it matters. You think that if it's a Trump appointee, that they would more lean towards Trump.
I certainly hope not. I want them to go by the Constitution.
Right.
I want them to go by the law, due process. That's what this is all about.
Right. Like what Trump said of the judge that ruled against his civil case. Oh, he doesn't like me. He's a Mexican, and this is against Mexico.
Well, like I say, I've never liked many of
the judge
his
was born, I think, in
tweets
Illinois.
I've never liked many of his tweets anyway, to be very honest with you.
Oh, by the way, he didn't do any tweets today. Was it today or yesterday? There were no tweets.
Well, I think that maybe somebody has told him, be quiet, please.
And he plays on the golf course.
Please be still.
He has been so silent since the only thing that he tweets out, I won it. I won it. He didn't win. I won. I won the election. And he hasn't said that, he's lost right now the popular vote by 5 million.
Popular vote has nothing to do with it.
I know, except in his mind, because he likes the biggest ratings.
No, it has nothing to do with it. But once again, I do think that we need to pursue this situation, especially with the situation that raises some questions with this Dominion with the Dominion voting machine, the Smartmatic software, and it's specifically in those particular battleground states. It is of real concern to me, and I'm certain it's of real concern to you.
Yeah,
we need a solid election. That's what we need.
But we are pursuing it right now to no avail for the Trump team, because everybody says there's nothing wrong.
Well, that's fine. You know what? Anybody could say that you're wrong and I'm right. That's absurd. So you go with the facts. So we're going to go with the facts.
Well, I'm going with the facts. What where it leads to. I mean, right now, maybe in another 2 weeks, and they say, oh, this happened, that happened, it was accepted by the courts. I'll say, Deborah, maybe you're right. Let's continue. But right now, everything is leading to a dead end. The only thing that's saying is Giuliani is.
And that's fine. If there are no facts, that's fine. But you need to convince 72 million Americans, former President Obama called us delusional. You don't need to insult people anymore.
You will never satisfy 72 million people. Or it's like Trump said, I could kill someone in Times Square and I won't be found guilty. These are
another
the people.
Stupid tweet.
But these are the people that really believe it. It's like QAnon, which you think is ridiculous and I think is ridiculous, but people believe in the conspiracy theory. They believe the Democrats and the left wing are killing babies, or believe in pornography. They're selling kids. But Hillary has his pizza place down in the basement. They have kids.
People, I don't know anything about it, and it's just
believe in it.
There are wackos on both sides, for heaven's sake.
Anyway, our bell just rung. We're through with the 30 minutes. 2 things I want to bring up. Number one, I want to find out, instead of doing this, which all the networks have, so we're not really adding anything new. Want to find out more about South Carolina. I want to find
Okay.
out the New South. I want to find out how cosmopolitan it is. I want to see your chicken farm
Okay.
and the people that are around the feed store.
It's fun. It's really cool here. It's really cool. I
And that's
love
what I
it.
want to talk about. And the next thing I want to bring up on our show, I don't know whether we'll have one. We can have one Friday if you like, because things are breaking so fast. But
Yeah.
I want to find out what your concept of socialism is.
Okay.
The big boogie word is socialism. They're, oh, were they going to be socialists? From what I see, Social Security is social. Unemployment is social. I think minimum wage is social because the government is dictating what the minimum wage should be. That's socialism. There are a lot of things that are social. Building the roads is socialism. When the government controls the power of the purse, that's socialism.
Not exactly. Socialism is so much deeper than that.
Now,
Called
yeah,
about proper representation by our representatives. It is the advise and consent by the people and for the people,
right,
not
but
just elite, not
right,
just for the.
but
Unfortunately,
that's
seems
not
to
democratic.
be.
So, but there's financial. There are different forms of socialism. I mean, there's socialism, economic socialism and governmental socialism, and there's a place in between. And we're like a capitalistic socialism or democratic socialism. It's still run by the people, but the people determine where the money goes.
Well,
But
bottom line is, I think we have been a beacon of liberty and individual freedom for 200 plus years, and I want that to continue, not because of the fact that we had an election. We need to make sure that we have our freedoms. We need to make sure that we have democracy, not only for ourselves, but for our children and our grandchildren. This magnificent experiment of America must live on beyond us.
I totally agree with you, but we'll have to talk about that in theoretical terms. Anyway,
We
my
will.
dear, do you want to do one Friday or?
Yeah, Friday sounds good.
Friday?
Yeah,
Okay.
Friday sounds good.
Friday is good.
Alrighty.
Okay, guys,
All right.
be well. Send my love to Fish. I'll speak to you
Will
Friday.
do.
Bye.
You bet. Bye-bye.